The Galthori vessel hovers silently above Earth's atmosphere, its cloaking technology rendering it invisible to human detection systems. Inside the ship's primary collection chamber, Chief Biologist Kembler examines the latest specimens with growing fascination. Remarkable diversity for such a small planet. He notes, mandibles clicking with excitement as he observes a golden retriever pacing nervously in its containment field. The dog whines softly, sensing its displacement from home, but unable to understand its predicament. Captain Zorl enters the chamber, his iridescent exoskeleton reflecting the blue-tinted lights. "The Council is pleased with our preliminary findings," he announces. "They authorized an extended mission. We have 2 full cycles to complete our catalog before moving to the next system." Kembler gestures toward the observation screen displaying dozens of captured specimens. "We've barely scratched the surface. The aquatic zones alone contain life forms with adaptation patterns unlike anything in our database." "What about the dominant species?" asks Junior Officer Nevik, monitoring the vital signs of the collected animals. Her first collection mission, she shows unusual interest in the planet's ecology. Zorl dismisses the question with a flick of his upper appendage. "The bipeds. Preliminary scans show they're simply another mammalian evolution, nothing exceptional. Their civilization is primitive. They've barely reached their own moon." The collection chamber hums as another teleportation sequence completes. A white-tailed deer materializes, frozen in midbound, its eyes wide with confusion as it finds itself suddenly transported from a forest to the sterile interior of an alien vessel. "Look at its reaction time," Kembler notes, recording the deer's vitals as it frantically searches for escape. "Purely instinctual responses, no problem-solving detected." Nevik approaches the containment field cautiously. Its heart rate exceeds safety parameters. "Should we administer a sedative?" "Unnecessary," Zorl replies coldly. "If it expires, we'll simply collect another. This planet has abundant replacements." On the command deck, Navigation Officer Velser plots the ship's next position. The creatures called elephants have been located in a region the natives call Africa. Their size suggests interesting neural development. The massive ship glides silently over the African savanna, its collection beam targeting a small herd of elephants. The matriarch senses something amiss, raising her trunk and trumpeting a warning moments before the beam activates. In an instant, a juvenile elephant vanishes, leaving only disturbed dust where it once stood. Back in the collection chamber, the young elephant materializes, trumpeting in distress and charging at the invisible barrier of its containment field. The force of its panic reverberates through the chamber, causing several researchers to step back. "Fascinating," Kembler observes, adjusting the field strength. "This one displays emotional reactions similar to the sentient species we studied. Note how it searches for its social group." The elephant continues its distress calls, a mournful sound that echoes through the ship's collection deck. Several other captured animals respond with their own vocalizations, creating a cacophony of Earth sounds that the Galthori find both amusing and irritating. "Silence them," Zorl orders, his patience waning. "We can't have this noise disrupting the crew." Nevik hesitates before implementing the sound-dampening field. "Captain, I've been reviewing the data on the bipeds. Their relationship with these other species seems unusual. They appear to form bonds with some while hunting others. Their behavior doesn't follow predictable ecological patterns." "All irrelevant," Zorl dismisses. "We've studied thousands of worlds, researcher. Primitive tool users always develop arbitrary relationships with their planet's fauna. Nothing exceptional here." As night falls across Earth, the Galthori ship continues its collection mission, moving methodically from continent to continent. Families wake to find beloved pets missing, farmers discover empty stalls, and wildlife researchers note inexplicable disappearances from their study populations. In the ship's lower laboratories, the testing begins. Earth creatures are subjected to intelligence assessments designed for alien minds, ensuring their failure. The Galthori record these results with satisfaction, confirming their preconceived notion of Earth's unremarkable status in the cosmic hierarchy. Tomorrow, Kemlor announces as the ship's cycle winds down, we begin collecting from what they call the Australian region. Preliminary scans show unusual evolutionary adaptations there. None of the Galthori notice Nevik quietly accessing restricted data on human civilization. Her interest in the bipeds growing as she discovers inconsistencies in the official assessment. Something about these humans doesn't align with the standard patterns, but she keeps her observations to herself for now. The recreation deck of the Galthori vessel erupted with clicking laughter as the latest Earth Challenge broadcast began. Off-duty crew members gathered around the panoramic viewers, their compound eyes reflecting the images of Earth animals confronting puzzles designed for alien minds. Watch this one, Science Officer Verna announced proudly, gesturing to the main screen where a raccoon faced a series of complex locking mechanisms guarding a food reward. We modified a Level 3 intelligence assessment. No chance this primitive creature solves it. The gathered Galthori chittered in anticipation, placing bets on how quickly the animal would give up. To their astonishment, the raccoon's dexterous paws began manipulating the locks with surprising efficiency. Impossible, muttered senior researcher Dolvik. The sequence requires understanding of cause and effect relationships beyond what. He fell silent as the raccoon defeated the final lock and claimed its prize. Verna quickly shut off the display. An anomaly. The specimen must have observed the mechanism during transport. She switched to another feed. This should be more entertaining. The new display showed a dolphin presented with a holographic maze. The Galthori had expected random swimming patterns, but watched with growing unease as the marine mammal navigated the three-dimensional puzzle with apparent deliberation. Junior researcher Cull leaned forward, antennae twitching with interest. Perhaps we're underestimating these creatures. The neural scans show unexpected complexity in. They're reacting instinctively, Chief Scientist Mirak interrupted, mandibles clicking decisively. Random success is still random. Tomorrow's challenge will prove it. In the ship's data center, viewing statistics told a different story. The Earth challenges had become the most watched content across the vessel, with crew members increasingly betting on the animal succeeding rather than failing. This unexpected development troubled Captain Zorel as he reviewed the reports in his private quarters. This entertainment is affecting crew efficiency, he noted to his executive officer. The collection teams are behind schedule. The crew finds these creatures amusing. Executive Officer Lumith responded. Perhaps we could incorporate the challenges into our research protocols. Justify the time expenditure. Zorel's compound eyes narrowed. Very well. But I want focus returned to our primary mission. The Council expects a complete catalog of this planet's biosphere. Meanwhile, in the primary testing chamber, Verna prepared the next day's challenge. A crow, seemingly ordinary with its glossy black feathers, watched her movements from its containment field. This simple avian barely registers on our sentience scale, she explained to her assistants. Tomorrow, we'll present it with a water displacement test requiring 8 sequential steps. The probability of success is effectively 0. Her assistant, Tevmor, reviewed the bird's neural scans. There's unusual activity in its problem-solving centers. Perhaps we should increase the difficulty. Verna dismissed the concern. It's a flying scavenger, nothing more. Configure the recording equipment for maximum entertainment value. The crew enjoys watching these creatures fail. In her private research station, Junior Officer Nevik continued her unauthorized investigation of Earth's dominant species. The data painted an increasingly concerning picture. These humans had somehow domesticated numerous species, formed complex bonds with potentially dangerous creatures, and demonstrated an uncanny ability to predict animal behavior. Most troubling was their scientific literature. Humans had been conducting their own intelligence tests on Earth's animals for generations. Nevik scrolled through studies on corvid problem-solving, primate tool use, and elephant social cognition with growing unease. They'd been studying their planet's species just as we study them, she whispered to herself, careful not to alert the ship's monitoring systems. But they've been doing it for hundreds of their years. The next morning, the recreation deck fell silent as the crew systematically solved the water displacement test, dropping precisely the right number of stones to raise the water level and claim the floating food. What the Galthori found most disturbing wasn't the success itself, but the bird's apparent understanding of the challenge. It had examined all provided objects before selecting only those heavy enough to raise the water efficiently. This was supposed to be impossible, Verna stammered as the crew murmured among themselves. Chief Scientist Merak quickly took control of the situation. A statistical outlier. Nothing more. Tomorrow, we begin testing the more interesting specimens from the planet's oceans and remote regions. The crowd dispersed, but conversations throughout the ship took on a new tone. If the supposedly simple creatures showed such unexpected abilities, what might they encounter as they moved to collect Earth's apex predators? In the collection bay, the teleportation systems hummed to life, targeting the coordinates of Australia's inland waterways. Unknown to the Galthori, they were about to collect their first saltwater crocodile, an ancient predator that had survived Earth's most catastrophic extinction events through perfect evolutionary design and unmatched predatory instinct. The medical bay's decontamination chamber hissed as the doors sealed. Inside, researcher Tivol lay on the examination platform, his exoskeleton cracked across 3 segments where the crocodile's jaws had clamped down. The creature's bite force had exceeded their protective equipment's tolerance by a factor of 5. "Status report," demanded Captain Zorel, watching through the isolation barrier as Medical Officer Jessa applied regenerative compounds to the wounded researcher. "He will survive," Jessa replied, her normally steady appendages trembling slightly. "But I've never seen trauma patterns like this. The reptile's bite mechanics are perfectly evolved for maximum damage." Outside in the corridor, Chief Scientist Merak reviewed security footage of the incident. The saltwater crocodile had remained motionless for precisely 47 seconds after the containment field weakened, giving no indication of its intentions before striking with explosive force. The attack had been calculated, patient, and devastatingly effective. "Fascinating," Merak murmured. It waited until the exact moment when Tyval's attention diverted. "This suggests advanced predatory intelligence." Junior Officer Nevik approached cautiously. "I've completed the deep scan of the specimen as ordered, sir. The results are concerning." "Concerning how?" Merak's antennae twitched with annoyance. "This species has remained virtually unchanged for over 200 million planetary cycles. It survived multiple extinction events that eliminated 95% of the planet's species. Its brain may appear primitive by our standards, but its predatory instincts have been perfected over a time span that exceeds our own evolutionary history." The ship-wide announcement system interrupted their conversation. "All research personnel report to Collection Chamber 4. Mandatory briefing in 15 units." In the expansive chamber, Captain Zorel addressed the assembled crew, his exoskeleton polished to a gleam that reflected the overhead lights. Behind him, the captured crocodile floated in a reinforced containment field, now restrained by energy tethers at 6 points along its massive body. "Today marks a turning point in our mission," Zorel began, his voice resonating through the chamber. "We have discovered that this planet harbors creatures of genuine scientific interest." Holographic displays activated around the room, showing scans of Earth's various apex predators. Tigers with muscle density readings, sharks with bite force calculations, venomous creatures with toxicity analyses. Effective immediately, we are redirecting our collection priorities. All teams will focus on acquiring the planet's predatory species for study. The Council has authorized additional resources upon review of today's incident. Science Officer Verna raised an appendage in objection. "Captain, our containment protocols were designed for docile specimens. The preliminary data suggests these predators will require significant security measures." "Already implemented," Zorel responded dismissively. "Security Chief Valkor has designed enhanced containment fields based on what we learned today." Security Chief Valkor stepped forward, his battle-scarred exoskeleton marking him as a veteran of previous collection expeditions. The reptile caught us unprepared. It will not happen again. We have recalibrated our systems to account for these creatures' capabilities. From the back of the gathering, junior researcher Call spoke up. What about the dominant species? Humans interact with these predators regularly. Their research might provide valuable context. An uncomfortable silence fell over the chamber. Captain Zoril fixed his compound eyes on Colt. You suggest we learn from a pre-spaceflight species, a species that has barely harnessed nuclear energy. Not learn from them. Colt backtracked quickly. Study their interactions. They appear to have unusual relationships with these predators. Some humans deliberately seek them out, study them, even capture them using primitive technology. Merok intervened before Zoril could respond. An interesting anthropological footnote, perhaps. We will consider it if time permits after the primary collection is complete. As the briefing concluded, the crew dispersed to their new assignments with renewed purpose. The atmosphere aboard the ship had shifted. What had begun as a routine collection mission now carried an edge of excitement and danger. In the secure laboratory section, Nevik found herself assigned to research Earth's venomous creatures. The first specimens were already arriving. A glass containment unit held a blue-ringed octopus, its rings pulsing with brilliant color as it explored its new environment. Beautiful, isn't it? Remarked lab technician Zelvor, admiring the small creature. Hard to believe something so small contains enough toxin to kill 20 Galthori. Have you implemented the enhanced security protocols? Nevik asked, noticing the standard-issue containment field surrounding the tank. Zelvor waved dismissively. For this tiny thing, the standard field is more than sufficient. As if in response to his confidence, the octopus extended a tentacle and probed the edge of its tank, testing the barrier with methodical patience. Nevik watched its behavior with growing unease, recognizing the same calculated assessment she had observed in the crocodile footage. Earth's predators, it seemed, had not survived millions of years by accident. The ship's corridors buzzed with activity as collection pods returned from Earth's surface in rapid succession. The Galthori had abandoned their methodical approach in favor of ambitious simultaneous operations across multiple ecosystems. Warning indicators flashed on the central monitoring station as containment resources approached capacity. Holding Bay 7 is ready for the marine specimens, announced Operations Manager Fevnar, directing drones carrying a reinforced aquatic chamber. Inside, a great white shark circled restlessly, its black eyes tracking every movement beyond the transparent barrier. Remarkable predatory adaptations, noted biologist Kembler, studying the shark's streamlined form. 5 rows of serrated teeth that regenerate throughout its life cycle. Electroreception organs that detect the heartbeat of prey. Perfect evolutionary design. The shark suddenly accelerated, ramming the barrier with explosive force. The impact sent ripples through the containment field, causing nearby technicians to flinch instinctively. Is the field stable? Fevnar demanded, mandibles clicking nervously. Holding at 87%, replied the monitoring technician. But it's learning from each attempt. The impact force increases by approximately 4.2% with each collision. A ship-wide alert interrupted their conversation. Security breach in Sector 19. All available personnel report for containment duty. In Sector 19, chaos reigned. The tiger they had collected from a Bengal forest had somehow shorted out its containment field and was now prowling the research corridor, its muscular body moving with fluid grace between shadow and light. 3 researchers lay injured, their exoskeletons cracked by powerful paws. Security Chief Valkor directed his team from behind a barricade. Immobilization protocols only. The captain wants this specimen preserved. Junior Officer Nevik watched from a sealed laboratory doorway as the security team attempted to corner the tiger. The feline predator displayed uncanny tactical awareness, retreating from direct confrontation only to circle behind and attack from unexpected angles. It's hurting them, she whispered to herself in realization, just like it would hunt in its native environment. The standoff ended when the tiger finally succumbed to multiple stun charges, collapsing in an elegant heap of striped fur. Medical teams rushed forward to treat the injured while containment specialists prepared a reinforced holding cell. 4 injured crew members for 1 specimen, Nevik noted as she helped catalog the incident. At this collection rate, our medical resources will be depleted before we've gathered even half the predatory species. Meanwhile, in the specialized containment wing, Science Officer Verna supervised the installation of microhabitats for venomous specimens. Glass enclosures lined the walls, each housing deadly creatures from across Earth. Black mambas from Africa, inland tapirs from Australia, golden poison frogs from South America. Their toxins show remarkable biochemical complexity, Verna explained to her assistants. Each evolved independently to target different neural pathways. The medical applications alone justify our collection efforts. A junior technician approached with a small sealed container. The funnel web spiders have been processed for containment, Science Officer. Excellent. Place them in Habitat 14. Verna turned back to her console, missing the moment when the technician's appendage trembled slightly, causing a hairline crack in the container seal. Hours later, in the ship's hydroponic gardens where the crew took their leisure time, researcher Lithmar collapsed suddenly during his relaxation period. By the time medical personnel arrived, his respiratory system had shut down completely. Neurotoxic agent, Medical Officer Jessa reported grimly after preliminary analysis. Consistent with arachnid venom from the Australian specimens. Captain Zorel viewed the medical report with growing concern. This is the 3rd fatality this cycle. Implement ship-wide biosecurity protocols immediately. The mood aboard the vessel darkened as warning lights bathed the corridors in pulsing red. Crew members moved through decontamination procedures between sections, their earlier enthusiasm dampened by the mounting casualties. In the primary research laboratory, Chief Scientist Merak and his team worked frantically to catalog the rapidly expanding collection. Specimen containers filled every available space, each housing creatures that had evolved over millions of years to kill with maximum efficiency. The box jellyfish specimen has contaminated the water recycling system on Deck 7, reported a harried technician. Its tentacle fragments are nearly invisible but remain actively venomous. We've had to shut down that entire section. Merak's mandibles clicked in frustration. Implement emergency filtration protocols. We cannot afford further system compromises. As the crisis team rushed to respond, Merak found himself standing before the latest addition to their collection, a seemingly innocuous container housing a colony of bullet ants from the Amazon rainforest. Such small creatures, he mused, studying the dark insects through the transparent barrier. Yet their venom produces pain so intense that the natives compare it to being shot. The container's integrity indicator flickered briefly from green to yellow, then back again. Merak made a note to have the system checked. Unaware that the smallest breach had already occurred, a single ant making its way into the ventilation system, the first of many that would soon follow. Junior xenobiologist Leah worked frantically in her private research pod, surrounded by holographic displays of Earth broadcasts. She had bypassed 3 security protocols to access these transmissions, risking severe disciplinary action if discovered. The displays showed humans interacting with the very creatures that were causing havoc throughout the ship. Computer, enhance sequence 42B, she instructed, focusing on footage of a human wildlife expert handling a king cobra. The snake, capable of delivering enough neurotoxin to kill 20 Galthori, responded to subtle movements of the human's body language. Remarkable, Leia murmured, adding notes to her growing database. They're communicating through micro-expressions and pheromone control. Another display showed marine biologists tagging great white sharks. The humans had developed a technique to induce a temporary paralytic state called tonic immobility by turning the predators upside down. The same species that had nearly breached containment 3 times now floated harmlessly in human hands. Laya's research had begun as mere curiosity, but had transformed into urgent concern as the collection mission deteriorated. The ship's medical bay was overflowing with injured crew members, and 3 zones had been quarantined due to venomous contamination. A soft chime indicated someone at her door. Laya quickly blanked the displays, her antennae twitching nervously as she admitted Science Officer Verna. "Your report is overdue," xenobiologist Verna stated, compound eyes scanning the research pod for signs of unauthorized activity. "My apologies, Science Officer. I've been compiling complex data sets." Leah indicated her official research terminal, displaying approved analyses of Earth's ecosystem structures. Verna moved closer. "The captain is concerned about efficiency. All research must focus on cataloging and containment. Your additional projects are consuming valuable resources." With respect, Laya replied carefully, "My research directly relates to containment challenges. The bipeds, humans, have developed sophisticated methods for handling these predators safely. Methods we could adapt." Verna's mandibles clicked in derision. "You suggest we emulate pre-spaceflight primitives? Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Technology, yes," Leah acknowledged. "But their understanding of these creatures comes from coexisting with them for thousands of years. They've developed." "Enough," Verna interrupted. "Complete your assigned analysis by next cycle. Any further unauthorized research will result in reassignment." After Verna departed, Laya sat motionless, weighing her options. Protocol demanded compliance with superior officers, but the mounting evidence suggested the Galthori were facing a crisis they didn't understand. Decision made, she activated her terminal and composed a comprehensive report titled Humans, the Apex Predator of Earth. The document detailed her findings about human-animal relationships, their unique ability to understand and control other species, and their remarkable adaptability. "Send to Captain Zorel, priority classification," she instructed, knowing the action might end her scientific career but unable to ignore the mounting evidence. On the bridge, Captain Zorel reviewed the latest collection targets. "Australia continues to yield exceptional specimens," he noted to Executive Officer Lomith. "The creatures called cassowaries display remarkable aggression despite being avian." "The collection teams request additional security personnel," Lomith reported. "The casualty rate has reached concerning levels." "Denied," Zorel replied firmly. "The Council expects comprehensive results. We cannot appear intimidated by primitive life forms." His terminal chimed with an incoming priority message. Zor-El opened Laya's report, skimming its contents with growing irritation. "More nonsense about the bipeds," he muttered, archiving the document without finishing it. "These junior researchers are too easily impressed by superficial signs of intelligence. The humans do display unusual characteristics," Lomith ventured cautiously. "Their adaptability across environments exceeds most species we've cataloged. They're standard primates with opposable digits and basic tool use," Zorel dismissed. "Focus on the immediate mission parameters. I want the aquatic collection accelerated. Their blue planet designation is appropriate. The oceanic predators show particular promise." Meanwhile, deep in the ship's ventilation system, the escaped bullet ants had established a colony near a thermal regulator. The warm environment, similar to their native rainforest, provided ideal breeding conditions. Worker ants explored farther into the ship's infrastructure daily, their numbers growing exponentially. In her quarters, Medical Officer Jessa reviewed alarming medical data. The venom from Earth's creatures affected Galthori physiology in unexpected ways, bypassing standard treatments. More concerning were the psychological effects. Crew members displayed increasing anxiety, with some refusing assignments involving certain specimens. Her private terminal chimed with a notification. "Incoming collection data. Australian ecosystem. Primary target. Inland taipan." Chessa accessed the species profile, mandibles clicking in concern as she read. "Most venomous terrestrial snake. Toxicity 200 times greater than comparative species. Venom evolved specifically to kill mammals." She composed an urgent medical advisory, recommending enhanced protective protocols for the collection team. As she sent the document, another notification appeared, a crew-wide alert announcing the expansion of collection operations to marine environments designated the Great Barrier Reef. The Galthori collection ship adjusted its position in Earth's orbit, unaware that their most dangerous encounter was yet to come, not from the creatures they so methodically cataloged, but from the species they continued to dismiss as unworthy of serious study. Maya Chen lay motionless on the cold surface of the holding cell, her breathing deliberately slow and shallow. Years of fieldwork studying the world's deadliest snakes had taught her the value of patience and controlled responses. Through barely open eyes, she observed the alien facility, cataloging details with the same methodical precision she applied to her research. The creatures that had abducted her moved with an insectoid grace, their iridescent exoskeletons reflecting the blue-tinted lights of the chamber. They communicated through a series of clicks and subtle antennae movements, occasionally supplemented by what appeared to be verbal language. "They don't realize I'm conscious," she thought, carefully regulating her heartbeat to maintain the appearance of sedation. The monitoring equipment beside her pulsed with readings she couldn't interpret, but she suspected it was tracking her vital signs. When the last alien left the chamber, Maya waited 5 additional minutes before carefully raising her head. The holding cell was one of dozens arranged in a circular pattern. Each contained specimens from Earth, some familiar from her research, others she had only read about in zoological journals. "Hello, beautiful," she whispered, spotting an inland taipan in a nearby enclosure. The olive-brown snake, known informally as the fierce snake, was among the deadliest reptiles she had studied. Its venom could kill a human in under 45 minutes without treatment. The snake responded to her voice, raising its head slightly. Maya made a soft clicking sound with her tongue, a technique she had developed to calm agitated reptiles during venom extraction procedures. The taipan's defensive posture relaxed incrementally. Moving with deliberate slowness, Maya examined her cell. The transparent barrier appeared to be energy-based rather than physical material. A small ventilation system circulated air with a subtle humming sound. Most importantly, she noticed the creatures had failed to remove her field kit, the small pack attached to her belt containing specialized tools for her research. "Amateur mistake," she murmured, carefully extracting a thin metal probe she used for examining snake dentition. "Always search your specimens thoroughly." In the adjoining laboratory, Junior Officer Nevik reviewed data from the latest collection operation. The algorithm had malfunctioned during the inland taipan acquisition, resulting in a wider teleportation beam than specified. "Recalibrate the targeting parameters before the next collection," she instructed a technician. "We cannot afford further errors." Her terminal chimed with an automated alert, anomalous neural activity detected in holding chamber 12. Nevik's antennae twitched with surprise as she examined the readings from the human specimen. The brainwave patterns suggested consciousness, not sedation. "Impossible," she muttered, entering commands to enhance the scanning resolution. The stasis field should maintain sedation for at least 6 more cycles. The holographic display showed the human female remaining motionless, but the neural activity continued to spike in patterns consistent with active problem-solving. Nevik hesitated, protocol demanding she report the anomaly immediately. Yet curiosity, the defining trait that had driven her to xenobiology, compelled her to observe longer. Meanwhile, Maya had discovered something remarkable. The snakes in the nearby enclosures responded to her calming techniques just as they did on Earth. A black mamba, coiled defensively when an alien approached, relaxed visibly when she softly clicked her tongue in a specific pattern. "Fascinating," she whispered. "Their communication systems function across species barriers. Your captors don't understand that, do they?" Her trained eyes noticed subtle patterns in the facility's security measures. The aliens clearly understood the physical dangers posed by their captives. The containment fields for predators were substantially stronger than those for non-predatory species, yet they had overlooked the possibility of interspecies cooperation. In the main collection chamber, chaos erupted as the teleportation system activated unexpectedly. Captain Zorl hurried to the scene, mandibles clicking with irritation. "Explain this malfunction," he demanded of the technician. "The system initiated an emergency collection protocol, Captain. It registered a genetic profile similar to our target species, but with unexpected variations." The teleportation pad hummed as the beam materialized its captive. Expecting another inland Tapin, the collection team was unprepared for the appearance of marine biologist Dr. Omar Karim, still wearing his wetsuit and clutching a research tablet. "Containment field," shouted the lead technician as Dr. Karim scrambled to his feet, eyes wide with shock and confusion. What is this place?" he demanded, his scientific training allowing him to process the impossible situation with remarkable speed. "Who are you?" Captain Zorl stared at the human with a mixture of annoyance and curiosity. "Another bite. Fully conscious despite teleportation trauma. Interesting. The probability of accidentally collecting two members of the same species is astronomically low," noted Science Officer Verna. Unless our collection parameters are flawed," Zorl finished, compound eyes narrowing. "Review all recent acquisitions immediately. I want to know how many of these bipeds we've brought aboard." In holding chamber 12, Maya Chen felt the subtle vibration of the ship's systems. Something had changed. There was increased activity in the corridors, a sense of urgency in the aliens' movements. "They found someone else," she concluded, redoubling her efforts to understand the containment field's operation. Time to accelerate the plan. The ship's ventilation system provided the perfect communication channel. Maya had discovered that by tapping specific rhythms against the ventilation ducts, the vibrations carried throughout the holding sections. Using a simple code based on Morse, she had established contact with 3 other captured humans. 4 confirmed, she whispered to herself, marking the locations on a crude map she'd sketched on the floor using graphite from her field kit. Dr. Karim in Section 5, Professor Lin in Section 8, and Ranger Jackson in Section 3. Each captive brought specialized knowledge. Dr. Karim's expertise with marine predators, Professor Lin's understanding of entomology, and Ranger Jackson's experience with big cats. Together, they represented a formidable pool of knowledge about Earth's most dangerous creatures. The aliens remained oblivious to their communication network, their monitoring systems designed to detect electronic signals rather than simple vibrations. Maya had spent 3 cycles, by her estimate, roughly equivalent to Earth days, observing the aliens' routines and security protocols. "They're overconfident," she noted to herself as she watched a technician casually adjust the containment field around a king cobra. "They understand the physical threat, but miss the behavioral patterns." Maya had made another critical discovery. The containment fields responded to bioelectric signatures. When the aliens approached a dangerous specimen, they triggered subtle modifications to their own bioelectric field, a security measure embedded in their exoskeletons. This explained why the fields weakened slightly during examinations. In Section 5, Dr. Karim had reached a similar conclusion. His work with sharks had given him intimate knowledge of bioelectric detection systems. Using materials from his diving equipment, he had constructed a crude device that mimicked the alien's bioelectric signature. "Testing Phase 3, he murmured, activating the device near the containment field holding a blue-ringed octopus. The field fluctuated slightly, not enough to deactivate, but confirmation his theory was correct. Meanwhile, Professor Lin had discovered she could communicate with the arthropod specimens using pheromone signals. The bullet ants, now established in the ship's infrastructure, responded to her chemical commands released through a carefully preserved sample from her research materials. "Cooperation across species barriers is the human advantage," she told a small spider that had found its way into her cell. "Something our captors don't understand." In the primary testing arena, the Galthori prepared for their most ambitious behavioral experiment yet. They had collected a pack of gray wolves from North America and designed a complex maze to test their problem-solving abilities. Previous specimens demonstrated individual intelligence, explained Chief Scientist Merok to Captain Zorel. These canids reportedly display pack tactics. We've designed challenges requiring cooperation. Proceed, Zorel ordered, his interest in the collection mission renewed after the discovery of human captives. But enhanced security protocols, the biped specimens have shown concerning adaptability. Unknown to the Galthori, Ranger Jackson had spent years studying wolf behavior in Yellowstone National Park. Through the ventilation system, he had established contact with the wolf pack using vocalizations that mimicked their communication patterns. When the wolves were released into the testing arena, the observing aliens were stunned by their behavior. Rather than exploring randomly, the pack immediately organized into a coordinated unit. They systematically navigated the maze, using flanking maneuvers to overcome obstacles designed to separate them. Impossible, muttered Science Officer Verna, reviewing the footage. Their success rate exceeds our behavioral models by 87%. They're receiving guidance, realized Junior Officer Nevik, who had been monitoring the human containment cells. The biped in Section 3, his respiratory patterns changed during the test. He was communicating somehow. In the ship's command center, the senior officers gathered to address the mounting evidence of human interference. We have underestimated these creatures, admitted Executive Officer Lomith. They appear to have formed alliances with the other Earth species. Preposterous, Captain Zorel dismissed. They're simply displaying basic pack behavior themselves. Separate the bipeds immediately. Place them in isolated containment. As security teams moved to implement the captain's orders, alarms blared throughout the ship. The monitoring system for Section 8 showed complete containment failure. Professor Lin's cell was empty. How is this possible? Demanded Security Chief Falcor, reviewing the footage. The field shows no breach, no power fluctuation. What the security systems failed to detect was the colony of bullet ants that had infiltrated the control circuitry at Professor Lin's direction. The insects had created microscopic disruptions in the power flow, creating a momentary gap in the containment field too brief to register on monitoring systems. Deep within the ship's recycling system, the 4 humans gathered in a maintenance junction identified by Maya during her observations. They brought with them small but crucial allies, insects, arachnids, and microorganisms collected from their cells and surrounding areas. Phase 1 complete, Maya told her fellow captives. Now we implement the full plan. We'll show our captors why humans are Earth's apex species, not through strength, but through cooperation. Red emergency lighting bathed the ship's corridors as alarm systems blared continuously. Captain Zorel stood in the command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing multiple containment breaches across all sectors. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress among the Galthori. How did this happen? He demanded, watching as a Bengal tiger prowled freely through the biology lab, researchers sealed behind emergency barriers. Coordinated attacks on containment systems, reported Security Chief Falcor, his normally imposing presence diminished by the chaos unfolding around them. The fields were deactivated sequentially, following a precise pattern that prevented automated lockdowns. In the marine specimen sector, Dr. Karim had reprogrammed the salinity controls, creating perfect conditions for the box jellyfish to thrive. Their nearly invisible tentacles now filled the water circulation system, rendering entire sections uninhabitable as traces of their powerful toxin spread through contact surfaces. Evacuation of Deck 7 is complete, announced Executive Officer Lomith, but we've lost access to the secondary propulsion controls. On Deck 5, Ranger Jackson moved silently alongside 3 wolves, their predatory instincts directed by subtle hand signals and vocal cues. They targeted the ship's sensor arrays, destroying the motion detectors that would have revealed the humans' movements through restricted areas. Professor Lin had established what she called insect control nodes throughout the ship's infrastructure. Colonies of bullet ants, spiders, and other arthropods responded to pheromone signals, disrupting electronic systems and creating diversions that scattered the increasingly panicked alien crew. They're demonstrating unprecedented cross-species cooperation, Junior Officer Nevik reported, reviewing security footage. The humans provide strategic direction, while the Earth creatures execute coordinated attacks based on their natural abilities. The command center doors slid open unexpectedly. Captain Zorl and his officers turned in alarm as Maya Chen walked calmly into the room. Behind her came a procession that defied all Galthori understanding. Predators that should have been mortal enemies moved together in harmony. A wolf padded beside a venomous snake. A hawk perched on the shoulder of a jaguar. Each creature moved with purpose, responding to subtle cues from the human. "Impossible," whispered Science Officer Verena, backing away from the approaching procession. "Not impossible," Maya replied, her voice steady. "Just beyond your understanding." The animals spread out around the command center, taking strategic positions that effectively cornered the Galthori leadership. No one fired a weapon or made aggressive moves. The silent standoff conveyed the power balance more effectively than violence could have. "You collected specimens," Maya continued, "but you failed to study the relationships between them. Earth's ecology isn't just about individual species, it's about the networks they form, the connections they build." Captain Zorl's compound eyes fixed on Maya, his earlier dismissiveness replaced by wary respect. "You control these predators." "How?" "We don't control them," she corrected. "We understand them. Humans evolved not as the strongest species on our planet, but as the one that could comprehend all others. We study, we learn, we adapt." From the doorway, Dr. Karim entered with the other escaped humans. Each was accompanied by creatures from their area of expertise. Marine biologist Karim, with an octopus clinging to his diving suit, entomologist Lynn surrounded by a protective cloud of insects, wildlife ranger Jackson flanked by big cats. "You have two options," Maya stated clearly. "Return us and all Earth specimens to our planet immediately, or face the consequences of having united Earth's most dangerous species against you." To emphasize her point, the inland taipan at her feet coiled higher, its movement synchronized perfectly with Maya's subtle hand signal. The command center fell silent as Captain Zorl considered the ultimatum. Finally, his antennae lowered in a gesture of acquiescence. "Set course for the original collection coordinates," he ordered. As the massive ship descended through Earth's atmosphere under cover of darkness, Maya stood in the observation chamber watching her home planet grow larger. The other humans joined her, along with Junior Officer Nevik, who had helped coordinate the return of the specimens. "Your species is unique in our catalog," Nevik admitted. "We mistook technological development for evolutionary success. Your true advantage was something we never considered. Empathy," Maya explained. "Understanding other minds, even non-human ones. It's how we survived on a planet filled with creatures that could easily kill us." As the teleportation systems prepared to return the last groups of specimens, Captain Zorl approached the humans, his posture formal. "The Council will receive a complete report on Earth's status," he stated. "Our recommendation will classify this planet as protected under Galactic conservation law, not for the creatures we collected, but for the species that understands them all." The ship departed Earth's orbit with new warning beacons left in its wake. In the vast database of the Galthori collection fleet, Earth received a unique classification never before assigned in their centuries of cataloging life across the galaxy. Integrated Apex System. Approach only with permission from dominant species. Human.